It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And we welcome you here inside the KCCR studios on this Wednesday evening, another edition of Coach's Corner, as we'll be joined with head coach of the Pierre Governors and Steve Steele, head football coach of the Stanley County Buffaloes, Max Foth, head coach of the Sylvius Chargers, and Tom Moore. We'll also talk some soccer with the boys head coach of the Pierre Governors and Sean Blanchett. That'll be on the way here in this edition of Coach's Corner. We'll jump right to it, back with Coach Steele after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors. Coach, you come in 2-0 now in the season, beat Huron last Friday, get Watertown this coming Friday, but let's go back to last Wednesday's game, or last Friday's game against the Huron Tigers. Slow start scoring-wise, but that second half, we really saw what the Pierre Governors want to do and can do with how the second half went, outscored Huron 35-0.
Yeah, I think when we get into a rhythm, we're a dangerous offense, and I think you saw that, in the second half. And we made too many mistakes in the first half and then allowed got in our own way multiple times. And, the one steady presence of all this conversation is our defense has been incredible pretty much from start to finish both games so far.
And that, we've had those conversations before where sometimes, back probably 2020, the last time you really saw it, with the offense kind of needing a little bit of that defense to really give them an opportunity to kind of get that rhythm. In other years, it's been the offense that has just kept scoring and scoring and giving the defense, all the freedom in the world to not worry about if they get scored on or not. The balances what the Pierre Governors have had over the last couple of years, especially now in these 2 weeks of having the defense being able to pick up the offense, and gives them that freedom and be able to, if they don't score, it's not going to be a truly bad thing at the end of the game.
Yeah, we don't have to panic. I think that's been the really good thing to see. His offense has never felt the pressure that they really need to press and panic. And the defense has never felt the pressure that they have to go out and pitch a shutout. So hopefully, like I said, that balance can continue to come back. Hopefully, as the offense gets their feet underneath them and can start a little faster, that can come back a little bit more to even. But it's really confident for our team to know our defense is playing so well.
Well, and then the confidence of getting 28 points in that second half with another 7 coming from the defensive side of the pick 6. But to get those guys that are making those first couple starts in the varsity level, to get them their confidence saying, hey, we can go out and score at will at times, and maybe all game we can go score at will. Because, we've seen over the last several years that guys are returning. There's a lot of returning guys, and filling the new positions we're still returning from from the season before. There's a lot more fresh faces that that needed that confidence, I think, and needed that second half to really set the page for the rest of the season.
They did, and I said the good part about this is every game they're getting. I mean, they're doubling their experience. Honestly, from game 1 to game 2, those guys that hadn't started yet. In the next 2 weeks, they're going to double again. So the guys will really grow up here these next few weeks. I think you'll hopefully start to see a lot less mistakes happen. Not that they won't play perfect. There won't be mistake-free games, but you're going to see a lot of those mistakes short up. And you're going to see a lot more confident play, hopefully, from that group of those younger guys.
Well, Watertown coming up now on Friday. That's a big game. The big early season test. There's still some tests down the road this season, but of the 3 games, on paper, Watertown's going to be the toughest of the 3. What do you expect from them on Friday?
Yeah, I mean they're a very big team. They're very large humans. They're physical, and they're not just physical. They're pretty athletic too. So definitely going to be a tough task for us up front, especially. I mean that's going to be the biggest challenge for the big boys to be able to hold their own and hopefully move them. And win that line up front. Defensively, again, I think that our defense has played fantastic. This is going to be a really big test of being able to play fantastic when we're out. Not necessarily outgunned, but out physical. Just by the physical attributes, it's going to be a tough challenge for them. And then offensively, same type of thing. We haven't had a ton of success running the football. It's not going to get easier this week to run the football against this front, and we're going to have to find ways to move the ball and put points on the board.
On the offensive line, going back to the first game of the season, you said that the mistakes that were made were not because of lack of effort. Did you like what you saw from the offensive line to kind of shore up some of those mistakes? And from game 1 to game 2, and then still shoring up going into game 3.
Yeah, I think our line's doing well. They're progressing well, and I think Ty's going to be close. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go for the game this week or not. But getting him back will be a big boost physically. Tucker has stepped in and done a great job for us, and we feel comfortable with where he's at mentally and all the stuff that he's doing. But just from a physical standpoint, again, whenever we do get Ty back, whether it's this week or next week or whenever, that'll be a very large boost to that group just in terms of size and physicality.
Talking with Steve Steele here in Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. It is the Governors and the Watertown Heroes coming up on Friday. We'll have the game here on KCCR and also on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Let's jump a little bit to the NFL side of things. The Lions got to win the first game of the season. Did you like the win? Was it? And you never know how after the first week are the Rams going to be up to the same level as the Lions? They got better and got to a NFC Championship caliber team, or did the Lions play down towards the Rams, or they take the step back? You never really know after week 1, and you can one way or the positive or negative, you can look at it one way or the other. But did you obviously like the win because they won? but did you like how the Lions played in that first week?
Yeah, the most important part's they get the win, obviously, because you're going to have those conversations whether you won or lost, but it's a little easier to have them when you win, I think. But I don't know. There's definitely some areas for concern, but there's also some very, very good things. Jameson Williams was fantastic. I thought at times the offense was out of sync, but I think especially the overtime drive was phenomenal. Just come on out and just punch it right down the field all the way down into the end zone. So that was a really good attitude drive. Defensively, I don't know. I think they were. Stafford was obviously he's a good quarterback, and he dissected him pretty well. I think for the Rams' case, we'll have to see how long Nakua's out because that'll be a tough thing where it's going to be going to Cooper Kupp even more than it normally goes to Cooper Kupp if Nakua's out. So, and I said I know they were banged up a little bit up front too, but at the same point in time, I said if we're not able to disguise a little bit more and get the coverages in line to prevent them from just chunking all the way down the field like they were able to do there in the second half, could be tough. So hopefully they can get that stuff fixed and keep the offense in rhythm.
Any comment on how Michigan last Saturday?
Sunday was a much better day than Saturday in the Steele household. But yeah, that was a tough one. Again, Texas is a very good football team. It's not like they went and did this to Northern Illinois or something like that. Shout out Coach Nye. But anyways, it's still tough. Still tough anytime you just get manhandled, and as hard as it is to say they got manhandled, and they're going to need a lot better offensive play. Defense I thought was okay. Over the course of the game it kind of snowballed, but defense gave the offense a couple shots to stay in the game, and the offense just didn't take it.
The college football has moved to the 12-team playoff format, and there's been people that say, well, now the regular season is a lot more meaningless. Have you felt that? Have you felt that way in the first 2 weeks, or do you feel like these 2 weeks, especially with all the conferences and with Pac-12 basically being, now like the Pac-2, but having a big Power 4 conferences, do you feel like those games mean just as much as they did beforehand?
I think it's still going to be important, but it's going to be, there's room for error now. If this was last year, Michigan might be out of the playoff already, because only 4 teams get in and, the champions are guaranteed. But, really, you're looking at essentially 1 at-large spot where now, what is there going to be, 7?
Yeah.
I think essentially 7 at-large spots. So, one loss, out-of-conference loss or anything like that's not going to necessarily eliminate you anymore. But at the same point in time, it's there's less on the line, so I guess it does make it a little bit less meaningful, but I don't think it's meaningless.
Yeah,
playing the middle ground there.
Well, and I think too, you just look at how many big games there have been, and maybe those teams see that, well, if we do lose one game, we're still going to be okay, and they're taking those risks to play. Not everybody's going to pay $1.4 million to lose in a game. Again, shout out Coach and I. But it gives you, it gives you that chance, like, hey, let's go play one of those other Power 4 conference teams, and not so much worry like, well, if we don't win, and then we go in our conference and also don't win, we're basically eliminated. Two losses or an out-of-conference loss doesn't give you that the same result as other years, which I think maybe makes higher quality games early on in the season.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was thinking too. I think that it really encourages more of that now because, you've got other teams like Alabama in the past that have kind of played, every directional college of a random state. And they beat all of them, but they don't want it. They know, the SEC, they'll say it, everyone will say it. All the conferences at this point are a gauntlet. To win your conference, whatever one of the Power 4 you're talking about, it's going to be very challenging to do so. But now, all of a sudden, you don't need to load all of those other games because you couldn't, like back then, again, you could not afford a non-conference loss. That could be the deciding factor. With that not necessarily being the case now, hopefully we do see more games like Michigan playing Texas early on in the season as opposed to, Michigan playing South Central Michigan Institute of Technology.
Right.
Also known as Central Michigan for my brother and sister.
And then you look at the other conferences too, because it's the 5 conference champions, which would be the 4 Power 4, and the highest ranked of those other conferences that will get in for the conference champion, which then gives you a chance to actually pay attention because those UCF was the closest team to ever make the playoff, and they felt like they should have been in and all that stuff, but now they actually have a chance to be in it, which gives just a lot more meaningful to those, because otherwise, why would you watch the Conference USA or MACtion other than betting on football? Now you can actually watch it for a legit reason and actually care about it for a legit reason.
Yeah, and I think as the year goes on and you kind of see those ones that are in those mid rankings, because that's where usually most of those teams lie that are undefeated or or 1-loss teams later in the years. They're usually in that mid-ranking spot, and then it kind of gives you more reason to pay attention to some of that and just to follow them, just so that, hey, if this is the one, they're going to be in this whatever, probably the 10, 11, 12 spot potentially, but, could they actually make some noise, So it'll be an interesting thing to follow, and this will also be good that, Florida State took the pressure off of all the voters by,
right,
by losing both their first games, but also there would be no excuse then in that situation for that to happen.
Talking with Coach Steve Steele here, the Pierre Governors. They get set to take on the Watertown Arrows on Friday night. Let's go back to Watertown real quick before we wrap things up as we're getting short on time. Biggest reason here for the Pierre Governors to get a win, biggest key to get a win Friday night against Watertown?
I think on both sides of the ball, we've got to win first down. We can't afford to be 2nd and 10 on offense. And we can't afford them to be 2nd and 5 when we're on defense and they're on offense. If we can win more first downs and stay ahead of the sticks and keep them behind the sticks, then I think that's going to help us overall and let us win the game.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you Friday at the pregame show.
Thanks, John.
That's head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Peer Area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back here on Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Tom Moore of the Solebu's Chargers as we get set for the Chargers taking on the Hitchcock-Tulare Patriots in Oneida Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. DT Meyer will have the coverage on Country 95.3 and also on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports. Coach, you had your bye week last week, starting out at 2-0, had the bye week last week. You know, week 3 of the season, after 2 games, you get to the next 6 games without a bye. Obviously, you have to take it with where it comes, but is that a favorable spot to be at for you guys? Did it come at the right time, or would you have rather seen this been a little bit later for that bye week?
The bye week, it wasn't too bad of a time. I'd prefer, game 4, 5, 6, somewhere in the bottom half of the season. But you got to take it wherever the state gives them to you. We did some things last week to get better, so it actually wasn't terrible. We got after it, and it was productive.
Well, you beat Northwestern by 40. You beat then Burke by 50 the next week, and now you get Hitchcock-Tulare. But the first 2 games, what's been the biggest thing that you've seen from this team that has been able to give you guys, combined 90 points ahead of 90 points at the end of those 2 weeks, being able to win by so much? What's been the biggest takeaway from those 2 wins?
Offensively, we just matured. Everybody's a year older, so we've matured to be able to adjust to things a little bit better. And we've really been able to split up, kind of run and pass, where the first game we were pretty heavy run with stuff, and the last game Wes had a good game and was over 200 yards passing. So be able to mix it up offensively, that definitely helps. Put some points up or adjust to things where last year's a little bit tougher, so that's been great to see. And defensively, up to this point, I think we've given up 150 yards or somewhere right in there of offense. So you can start doing those things that just puts you in good positions to succeed.
Over the next couple of weeks, you get Hitchcock-Tulare, you have Faulkton area, Harriet-Selby area, 3 really tough games, and you're not going to look over anybody, but certainly not against a rival of Potter County, even though they're 0-3, but that is a homecoming. And, of course, this week it is about Hitchcock-Tulare, not anybody else. But Hitchcock-Tulare coming in at 2-1, and their loss right now has been to Corsega-Stigney, who is also 2-1. They just lost to an undefeated Trip Delmont Armor and Central Dakota Christian School. But Hitchcock-Tulare at 2-1, they're a really good football team. They've over the last several years have been very, very good. What have you seen from them on film leading up to Friday night?
Yeah, they're a good football team. It starts right up front. They got some pretty darn good linemen, some good size up there that are fairly athletic. So, that's going to make us. We haven't seen that greatly yet. So, how we're going to adjust to play with them up front will kind of be a big key thing. They got a young quarterback in there, but they got some special dudes. The Binger kid runs really well. He had a big game a couple weeks ago. And they got some speed with stuff. So they're well put together. A football team. They said they were 1 losses to a good Corsica team, so it's going to be a battle Friday night.
You guys have both played Northwestern, and obviously, with your blowout win, and then they won 56-6 over Northwestern as well. Is it easy to take anything to see what you guys did and what they're doing against Northwestern, a common opponent, or with the discrepancy in the score? Does it make it a little bit harder to kind of to use that to game plan a little bit?
Oh, just a little bit. Looking at film, you try to find films of people that do stuff similar to what we do, just so we can see from a defensive or us offensively, where are they going to line up defensively against certain formations or certain adjustments, and then offensively they're going to run whatever they're going to run against whatever defense. So you just try to find similarities between the team you're scouting, and hopefully the team that they're playing is somewhat similar, do a few things to us. So it'll match up pretty good. I mean, we were both successful with certain things against Northwestern, so it'll come down to who's going to come out and play on Friday night.
Talking with Tom Moore of the Sylacuse Chargers, 2-0 so far this season, the game 3, but the fourth week of the season coming up on Friday when they host the Hitchcock-Tulare Patriots, who are coming in at 2-1. We'll go back to a couple weeks to that win against the Burke Cougars with the 56-6 win. Caden Westergren comes in and plays really good, and just kind of like how Gavin Barber I wouldn't say that Westergren maybe took you by surprise, maybe you will say that or not, but Gavin Barber showed up, and all of a sudden he kind of earns that spot and becomes one of the best backs in the state. And now you might have a 1A and 1B with how good Westergren played in the backfield on Friday, a couple Fridays ago.
Yeah, he came in Gavin busted his shoulder last year, so he came in playoff game and had like 180 something against Kadoka. So we knew he had it in it. He's quite athletic, and then he's a strong kid, so they're very similar back-wise. Him be able to come in for Barb for a little while there was great to see, and him just finishing runs and whatnot. So having that option of those two caliber of backs, especially 9B, we're pretty fortunate to have that situation.
Yeah, you kind of took the next question there is how fortunate you guys are to have it, but just how that's hard to game plan against, because it's you can maybe stop one guy, but you're going to get tired of stopping one guy, and the next guy's going to come in and be able to pound the football or get by you. Those two guys can really wear down a defense, especially in 9B.
Yeah, that's what's hard. They can wear you out, both being. I think Caden's around 190-ish and Barb's just over 200. So, I mean, when you got that constantly coming at you, it just over time just slowly wears you down as a defense. So, we're pretty fortunate to have that, and we can do maybe a couple special things with Barbers. So, it makes it kind of fun to run some formations.
Going into Friday, Hitchcock-Tulare, I know we kind of talked about what you kind of expect from them, but defensively for the Patriots, since we're kind of talking offense right now, what do you want to see from this offense to be able to dictate and play the game that Sylacuse wants to play offensively? How do you attack their defense?
Well, just like I talked about, just being balanced, be able to throw it, be able to pass it. Don't let them just be able to load the box up against you. If we can't throw the ball, that's where we're fortunate where we can throw the ball a little bit. So they're going to have to play their kind of a base defense to stop a few things. So, be able to get off the ball up front, like this will be the best front we've seen up to this point. So I'm excited to see if our Hogs up front can be better assignment sound than we were against Burke, and move some mass that they have up front there.
And also, you're at home, but and you've had good starts because you outscored your opponent by 40 and outscored him by 50 in the first two games. But how key is a good start, both offensively and defensively? Obviously you want to get a score in your first drive and then get a stop also on that first drive. But how important is it to feel good about the offense and defense, especially in right now what will be the toughest game to this point against Hitchcock-Tulare?
Oh, very much. I mean, starting fast is kind of a big thing we've been pushing at this year, of getting after it right away. I mean, being the physical person, being the hitter on defense, offense, I'm in the right spots and I'm finishing blocks off. And any football game, no matter who you're playing, it's super important to come out, fast, like get a 3-out or a quick something on defense and either move the ball or score on offense. It's a great confidence thing for the kids to feel going on throughout the game. So starting fast is a big deal for us.
We'll end with this final question here, as I always do. Biggest key Friday night for a win against Hitchcock-Tulare?
I think the big thing is being able to win up front. Like we've talked about it's going to be I think it's going to be a very evenly matched up front with their front three that they have defensively in our offense, and vice versa. We both kind of want to do similar things. So the team that can win up front the best and take care of the football, I think will be the team that comes out at the end on Friday night.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you. First Coach's Corner of the year, but we'll be chatting every week, getting set for as the season goes along. So good luck this Friday, and we'll talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it and look forward to it.
That is head coach Tom Moore of the Soybees Chargers. And again, they will take on Hitchcock-Tulare on Friday at 7 o'clock kickoff, and DT Meyer will have the call on Country 95.3 and on YouTube at Country 95.3 Sports. So we've got more Coach's Corner on the way here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Max Welth of the Stanley County Buffaloes, who will be on the road for the final time in the regular season this week when they take on the Redfield Pheasants, as they'll have their third straight road game. So it feels like it's been forever since Stanley County's been at home. But after tonight, halfway through the season, the second half will all be at home. So first off, Coach, it's good to talk to you again. And before we get into last week, before we start to get in this week, it's going to be nice that you'd like to be at home this week, but seeing the rest of the schedule and being at home, that's got to feel pretty good to say, okay, let's get through one more road game, and Ole Williamson Field will be very nice to have for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, that's for sure. We're getting pretty good at traveling, as it seems like we do it every week at this point. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that home stretch and getting some guys back healthy and all that good stuff. It should be a good stretch for us.
Leola Frederick was your opponent last Friday. 40-8 was the final score, but if you just see the final score, you say 40-8. That's not really how the game went. Yeah, the fourth quarter they ended up scoring 3 touchdowns, but it was a 12-8 game at halftime. It was 28 after 3 quarters. You guys were in there for 3 quarters. Now I know that you'd like to just have the win instead of saying that you played good for 3 quarters, but overall this is a Stanley County team again that has gone through the gauntlet through the first 3 games. That all 3 teams are all 3-0 that you've played in the top 5 of the standings. But you hung in with Leola Frederick on the road for as long as you did. Again, there's still a lot of good to take away.
Yeah, for sure. You're exactly right. And, we give a lot of credit to our kids. They battled as tough as they physically could for as long as they could. They did a great job of working hard and putting their best foot forward and executing the plan that we had in place. Those kids, they battled. But, anytime in 9-man football when you have 7 guys that are players for you and they're in jeans and their jerseys on the sideline, it makes it hard on the guys out on the field. So, we just kind of ran out of gas and that's too bad. And I felt like we played so much better in that game. And like you said, the score doesn't really do it justice. It really boiled down to 3 plays for us. We were down 20-8. We had them backed up. It was 3rd and 13 on their own 8-yard line, and they throw a pop fly down the middle of the field, and we got 3 Buffaloes around it, and this kid from Leola goes up and makes a heck of a play, great jump ball, and he goes and gets it. And so they convert that, and then they go on about a 14-play drive from there to score on 4th and goal to make it 28-8, and the very next play we get the ball back, we have a play action called. We have an exchange of the fumble in the backfield, and they get the ball on our own 12-yard line going in. They score a couple plays later. The very next drive, we go to take a snap from under center, and we miss the quarterback-center exchange, and they get the ball again on about the 14-yard line going in. So it was about 3 plays, and those 3 plays kind of boiled the whole game down for us. But I don't want that to overshadow just how much better we played and how much better it was to get some guys in position and to have some success. And I think we did a lot of really good things. We had a few big-time mistakes, and we got to clean that up, and hopefully we do going forward.
You know, and that's the one thing, too, when you're playing the teams of Hill City, Parks, and Leola Frederick, and you know, to advance deep in the playoffs, you got to be able to beat those teams. But there's something to be said about playing them in the first 3 games of the year and then trying to play them in the last 3 games of the year. Yes, those teams will be better at the end of the season, but the Stanley County team would be better at the end of the season. It's a gauntlet those first 3 weeks and 2 of the 3 on the road. You know, again, I know that you're a coach that doesn't like to make excuses, doesn't like to say anything like that. But boy, this first stretch, you can't point at a more difficult first stretch for any other team than what Stanley County had to start this season.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they're good enough, and then when you compound the other things, the injuries and other things that we can't control like that, it puts you in a tough spot at the beginning of the year. It makes us as a coaching staff, we have to coach even better. It makes those guys that are subbing in for guys that have been hurt. You never know when your number is going to be called in football. Everybody's got to be ready, and us coaches, we got to do a better job of making sure everybody is ready. And so I feel like it's made us better as a coaching staff. I feel like it's made us better as a team. And not that we want to look towards any future years or anything like that. It's going to make these players better. You look at a player like Eddie Duffy that came in and had to go and play against the number 1 rated team on the road to go to Parkston in the middle of their 15-game winning streak and state championship run and all this stuff. And that's got to be his first start is at Parkston. And then he comes back and, we play our first JV game on Monday night this past week. We had Todd County at home, and Eddie threw about 3 touchdown passes and ran 1 in. So it's going to make him a better player. It's going to make all of us coaches better. So this adversity has been good for us. Yeah, of course, we'd love to have more wins on there, and we're looking forward to another opportunity on Friday night.
Well, Redfield's your opponent. They're 0-3, so you go from the 3-0 teams to now 0-3. And it's, it's a breath of fresh air, but also at the same time, you can't let your guard down because, winning in football, no matter the team you're playing, is tough to do. So how do you handle the message to the players of saying, hey, this isn't a top team, but we can't treat it like it's a team that's 0-3. We still got to treat it like they're a top team.
Yeah, I think that's been the easiest part for us is I think our kids are so hungry for a victory that they're not even worried about who we're playing at this point. It's just they just want to get out there and they want to play better. They want to go and put 4 quarters together. They're hungry to get that first win on our side there and start something positive for us. We played good 2.5, 3 quarters at Leola. Now we want to play a complete game. And all of a sudden, once you play one complete game, that success kind of breeds success, just like it did for us last year. Our guys are looking forward to it. We're definitely not in a position to overlook anybody. We definitely know that, we haven't been at our best as coaches and as players, and we're going to be at our best on Friday night and look forward to putting our best foot forward.
Talking with head coach Max Foth of the Stanley County Buffaloes as they take on the Redfield Pheasants on the road on Friday night at 7 o'clock kickoff in Redfield. What have you seen from Redfield on film? What makes them a dangerous team?
Yeah, I think they've got a big, strong quarterback. He can make most of the throws there. He's got a good, strong arm. They're trying to find their way just like any other 0-3 team is. You look at their film and their offense looks like one thing one week, and then they're definitely trying something new the next week, and then they're definitely trying something new. So their coaches are kind of doing the same thing we are. They're trying to look for, what's positive and what works well for them and that type of deal. And I think the biggest thing with this Redfield game is, like I told you last time we talked, is the confidence. We just need to be able to be confident and get some success rolling early, kind of like we had against Leola, but we can't have that big play, that big mistake there, and hopefully we've stressed that this week at practice, and we'll be ready for Friday night.
And Redfield played Leola back at the beginning of the season. The first game, Leola Frederick won 60-7. In film, in a common opponent like that, is there anything from week one? And you kind of mentioned that they've kind of tried to do different things in each of the 3 football games so far. Is there anything to take from that game and then take from your guys' game against Leola Frederick to try to match and see how things go with a common opponent?
Yeah, there's some things to be gained from that as far as like some tendencies they have defensively and some guys where they put at different spots on their defense and stuff like that. So there's definitely some value in that. But like I said, they're looking to get their playmakers the ball. So they're finding different ways to be able to protect that quarterback and different ways to be able to get the ball out quickly and after they get the ball out quickly, be able to fake a short route, to throw a deep route. So they're looking for ways to be able to put more points on the board. And then defensively, it looks like they're trying a multitude of different things. And we've just got to be able to be flexible and adjust to whatever they're trying defensively.
One final question here before we wrap things up. Biggest key for a win Friday night against Redfield?
I think the biggest thing for us is, like I said, I think confidence. I think we got to start fast, start aggressive. Look to get our playmakers the football on offense, make sure we can try to get them in some space to make some guys miss and go make some big plays. And then defensively, it's all about trusting our teammates. Every once in a while in that Leola game, we gave up a big run, and then all of a sudden we've got 2 guys in one gap because we're trying to cover for each other instead of trusting that we're going to be in the right spot each time. So I think if we take care of the football, we get a little confidence going, then all of a sudden we're trusting ourselves defensively and we make a few plays. I look for that confidence to reignite and to really get us going on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. It's always good talking to you. Good luck on Friday. Safe travels to Redfield, and looking forward to talking to you next week when the home cooking will be nice and good for Stanley County when they get to be at Ole Williamson again and get to be there for several weeks in a row. So good luck Friday and safe travels.
Yeah, thank you. And also, John, I appreciate you not bringing up the Michigan game. That's very nice of you. There are better days ahead for Wolverine fans out there, so hang in there, everybody.
Well, if you want to, I did talk to Steve Steele about that, so I talked with him, so hopefully there's no more losses for Michigan. Otherwise, I'll have to leave him alone about talking to Michigan. I'll have to bring that up to you the next time.
Yeah. Hopefully we get this win on Friday night, and I'll be much more happy to talk about any Michigan loss you want to talk about. How about that?
That works. That is head coach Maxwell of the Stanley County Buffaloes. They take on Redfield on Friday, 7 o'clock kickoff in Redfield. Coach, appreciate the time, and good luck Friday.
Thanks, buddy.
Be back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pier Fort Pier area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power. Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your health care is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back here to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Sean Blanchett of the Pierre Governor boys soccer team as they sit at 4-2 2-1 of the season, 7th place in the AA standings. They will play Harrisburg on Thursday. We'll talk about that game here in just a little bit. But, Coach, it's good to talk to you, and this has been a fun first part of the season. I know there's still a second half to go, but through the first 7 games of the year, this has been a lot of fun to watch this Pierre Governor soccer team play.
Yeah, they are a fun group to coach. They are a fun group to watch. Obviously, we've had some success in the win-loss column, and quite frankly, we are very close to being undefeated, actually. And the 2 losses we had were very hard-fought, very close games where we gave up a late goal, unfortunately, in both instances. But we're right there with teams in the top 5, and we're playing hard. They're having fun. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and that's always probably the most enjoyable part when you have a group of kids like that, is just being able to put them out there and know they're going to compete confidently, and they're just fun to watch.
And that's the thing too, is that, the 3 non-loss or 3 non-wins that you have, those combined records of those 3 teams are 18-2 and 4. So that's how good those 3 teams are combined, and you've been outscored by 1 goal in 2 of those games in your 2 losses and a 0-0 tie against Stevens. And I mean, without looking at stats, and the stats will back it up too, just how close the Pierre Governors are to being to competing, and not just competing, they are competing, but beating 3 of those top teams in the state.
Yeah, and those 3 teams are top 5 teams, and I think that's what we've been, and the boys, their season last year, they finished in 16th place. And what we worked on this summer, we just tried to set some standards for them and set some goals for them. This is a group of kids I know very well. I've been coaching them since they were all really young, off and on through the club system. But I've always believed that this group had what it takes as far as athleticism, technical skill, game IQ, to compete with the best sides in the state. And, I think just making sure that they came in really good shape to start the season, making sure that we had a good system with putting people where they can succeed, and then just kind of giving them the freedom to just go at the game, go take the game. We don't want to play like conservatively. We're a group with a mindset that, at least we're trying to get there to have the mindset where when we get to a game, we want to go try to take the game. We don't want the game to come to us. We want to try to set the tone, set the tempo. And, again, I think, when you challenge a group of kids and you tell them, I think that you guys can compete with anybody in the state, they're going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to prove you right or they're going to prove you wrong. And so far, if you look at those score lines with the 3 top 5 teams we've played, they're proving us right. And, they can compete with anybody. And I honestly feel like as fun and as successful as the first half of the season has been, I don't know that we've hit our stride fully yet. I think there's still more for us to get out of games. I just haven't seen a full game where I feel like we've been firing on all 8 cylinders. Now, we've had some really good games, but I think there's still more. There's still more for us to take. We can, I think, put ourselves in a position to have even more success in the second half of the season.
Well, we'll talk about each aspect of this. We'll talk to the offense first. You guys have scored 11 goals in those 7 games, and the only time you haven't scored a goal is you didn't allow the other team to score a 0-0 tie. So you've put some offense up, and and you mentioned too how good this offense can be and how good taking the game and setting the tone of the game. This offense generates a lot of offense, a lot of shots, a lot of chances, and as you mentioned too. To fire on all cylinders, I think you're probably going to see a lot more goals be scored in the second half of the season, because this Pierre team, there's been a couple of hot goalies that could have frustrated the Governors, but you guys have been able to break through and win those games as well.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like right now, we're finding enough. We're finding enough in the score column to get ourselves the wins that we need. But if you go back and you look at, you said it, John, that we are creating a lot of good quality scoring opportunities. But at the same time, we also have had throughout pretty much every game we've had at least one, maybe outside of Stevens. They were very, very tough. We didn't generate a lot of great opportunities. We did have opportunities to score out there, but I'm talking about extremely high percentage scoring opportunities where they're almost gimmies in front of the net. And that for some reason have eluded us. We've had several of those that we have left on the table in games. I feel like we've had several games that we really could have stretched that score line and kind of ended the game earlier on. But for some reason, we're just having trouble getting that last good touch on the ball when we set ourselves up like that. And we just let teams hang around. And you know, we've had some games that I feel like we've had to grind out for 80 minutes that maybe if we're doing a better job finishing those higher percentage opportunities, that we don't necessarily have to make the game that difficult for that long. But, you know, the flip side of that, the positive to take from that is I do have a team that can grind out for 80 minutes if we need them to. That was the case at Rapid City Stevens. You know, that's a team that had gone into that game scoring a lot of goals. I mean, I don't know that they really had one tough contest prior to us. And we went out there, and they were every bit as good as everybody thought they were. And, you know, we played tough, and, you know, we shut out one of the best teams in the state. So, yeah, we didn't score in that game, but getting that shutout was a huge morale booster for the kids.
Yeah, and they're second in goals for is Stevens, averaging goals for Sioux Falls Christian number 1, but they've played a lot of their high scoring games been in Class A schools. But that also then tends to the other side is defensively allowed just 6 goals through 7 games. Jacob Leiferman with 3 different shutouts, 2 wins, and then that tie against Stevens. When the offense has been able to generate those chances but not be able to finish as much as you'd like to, the defense really gives the opportunities for the offense to you know, it doesn't come back to haunt you too much because the defense has been so good too.
Yeah, you know, I've got, and that goes back to, you know, the whole summer when we were evaluating the kids and we were developing our formation and all those things, and we were just looking to put people in places where they can have the most success. And I've got 4 kids on our defensive line that I feel like I can trust every day, and I feel like they're in the right spot, and they work so well together. And yes, we've given up a couple goals, but if you look, like the one we gave up at Sturgis was off a set piece. We gave up at Watertown. That was a mistake on our part. It was an own goal. So, you know, when you look at the run of play, the goals we've given up in the run of play, there haven't been that many. I think that accounts for 4 over 7 games in the run of play, which is actually a fantastic average to have. That we're allowing less than a goal a game total. You know, I want us to get to a point where we don't have to rely on them so much all the time. But you know, they are holding court for us, and they are doing everything they need to do while we try to become more efficient in our attack and in scoring goals. They're holding the line, and they're keeping us in every game. And when we have a lead, they're making sure that we don't lose the lead. So, again, there's some things that we need to fix. There's some things that we could do better at in the offensive half. But our defense right now is kind of our backbone. They're keeping us in it, and you know, it'll come. I'm confident it'll come. The kids want it to come. They keep pushing every day. They're pushing each other. And I really look for us to start putting more balls in the back of the net and stretching those leads when we can. And once we do that, I think, you know, once we get off that you know, that hump we're in, that slump we're in, you know, scoring wise, once we get those first couple, I really feel like there's going to be some games here where we really open up.
Talking with Sean Blanchett of the Pierre Governor boys soccer team. Got a couple more questions as we start to kind of wrap things up here. First, let's go back to the Sturgis game. Playing at Hollister Field, at the football field, that's always been something that I've always, you know, not necessarily wondered, but, you know, just knowing how cool it can be to play under the lights. How, as a coach and what you got to hear from the players, how much fun was it to play at Hollister Field back on August 29th?
Yeah, that was you know, that was a great experience for the boys. You know, our soccer complex, you know, we have nice fields, we have a good venue, but just the atmosphere of Hollister Field and Troutner Stadium with the Capitol in the background, the big scoreboard. We were fortunate enough, both the boys and girls, to draw a really good crowd. And just for our boys to have that experience on that field in front of that crowd and to hear, the level of cheering that they're not accustomed to. And I really think that for the fans, once you get off a field level and you have a better vantage point, it really just allows you to better see and understand what's going on in the field. And, I know that those kids wanted to take advantage of that opportunity and win in front of their home crowd, and fortunately the boys did, so did the girls. But, that was, I think that was one of the coolest experiences they'll take away from this year, and for the seniors who are outgoing, probably their entire high school career.
Let us get to this week's games. Harrisburg at Harrisburg on Thursday, and then Brandon Valley at home on Saturday. First, Harrisburg, what do you expect from them? They're 1-5-2 right now, but what do you expect from them on Thursday?
Well, the thing we've been telling the boys, or I've been telling the boys over the last couple of days with Harrisburg, is they're 1-5 and with 2 ties, but they're playing everybody tight. They're not. I mean, they've had, I think, maybe one lopsided scoreline, but outside of that, they're playing with everybody. They're going to be organized defensively. They're going to try to press us and disrupt us in the midfield, getting out to the attack that we want. So we're just going to have to, we're going to have to match them physically. We're going to have to be stepping to the ball. We're going to have to do all the little things, winning the 50-50s and all that, to make sure that we can control the tempo. I think if the boys come out and they play hard, they play well, and they do the little things to open our game up, I'm looking forward to a good result at Harrisburg. But we can't be overlooking anybody at this point. Especially teams in the ESD. The playing field and the competition looks to be fairly even across the board. Nobody's really pulling away from anybody, so we got 7 ESD games coming up that quite frankly, could turn into battles, every single one of them. So, we're looking forward to the Harrisburg game. I think if we're playing well, we'll come out of there with the result we want. But we have to go at it with the mentality that we're going to look to take the game again.
And you mentioned, too, you're not looking over anything, so the next question is a little bit harder to ask, too, but Brandon Valley on Saturday, what do you expect from the Lynx coming in to Pierre on Saturday?
Yeah, that's going to be a fight all game. That's going to be a tough one. Luckily, we have home field. We got our field. We know it the best, our home turf. But Brandon Valley they're sitting hovering right around 500 with some close score lines. They've got, I think, 3 draws, so they're another team that's playing everybody very tight. And, that just goes back to my previous statement about the EFC teams. Nobody seems to be pulling away from anyone. And so we can expect these next 2 games to be tough. And I think Brandon Valley is going to be a tough matchup. So, we're going to have to really, after we get in with Harrisburg, we're going to have to go back and watch some film on Brandon Valley and see what they're bringing and see how we can, counter what they're trying to do, and then look for opportunities to open up our attack on them.
Talking with Coach Sean Blanchett of the Pierre Governor boys soccer team. Will be in Harrisburg on Thursday, taking on the Tigers. It's a 5 o'clock boys kickoff, 7 o'clock girls kickoff, and then they'll flip on Saturday at home against Brandon Valley. The girls will kick off at noon, and the boys will kick off at 2 at the Pilk Soccer Complex in Pierre. Coach, before the final question, I like to ask all the time, what's the biggest key for the Governors to pick up 2 wins? I know, again, you're not looking past Brandon Valley. You want to get that first win at Harrisburg. Well, what's the biggest key to pick up 2 wins on Thursday and then on Saturday?
Well, there's really 2 keys. One, it's doing the little things and doing them well, setting the tempo, and 2, it's consistency. We've got to maintain some consistency in our effort and the way we approach games. We slip in any of that, and we're risking results that we don't want.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It is good talking with you. It's fun to talk some soccer, and I know as the season, it's hard to believe once the soccer season starts that you're less than 2 months away from the playoffs already beginning. But as we get in the final stretch, I know we're going to be talking again soon. I know we'll talk once the playoffs begin for sure. But it's fun to see this Pierre Governor soccer team playing so well. Good luck. Safe travels Thursday. Good luck on Thursday as well. Good luck Saturday, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks, John.
That is Coach Sean Blanchett of the Pierre Governor boys soccer team. We'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com. KCCR Radio.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
Back here in the KCCR studios one more time this evening as we want to thank our coaches, Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, Tom Moore of the Silly Bees Chargers, Max Voth of the Stanley County Buffaloes, and Sean Blanchett of the Pierre Governor soccer team, as the soccer team will be in action tomorrow, and then football getting started on Friday, rolling on Friday. We'll have the NFL tomorrow night here on KCCR, Bills and Dolphins. We've got the Pierre Governors and the Watertown Arrows coming up on Friday. We'll have Pierre Volleyball coming up Saturday afternoon as they take on the Spearfish Spartans. That's at 2 o'clock first serve. That's all here on KCCR. And, of course, Pierre Governor Athletics available to watch on YouTube at KCCR Sports. And we also will have a Coach's Corner from tonight, as we do every Wednesday, up available online on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Again, thanks to our coaches, as we'll return next week, same time, same place, 5:30 to 6:30 right here on KCCR.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.